Oh, hello there. Yes, well, it must be Thursday. Must be. Why? Because it is. Them's the rules. I don't make up the rules with the calendar. I merely obey them. Otherwise, I'd be all over the place, really, wouldn't I? Insisting that it's Sunday when, in fact, it was actually Tuesday. Anyway, leaving all that aside, which is utter tosh, let's move on to other tosh, which is, of course, Matt Goodwin. Yes, him again. Nothing says fair-minded independent pollster like, well, giving a keynote address to the Reform Party. I hope Antifa weren't there beating people up. Come back to them at the end, I think. Yes. Anyway, yes, he was decided to tell people that he wanted his country back. I think he's got it already. Most of it anyway, judging by his own polls. Anyway, yes. He was on social media suggesting, for example, well, this basically, pointing you to an article of his. This is the most detailed study of the radical woke left, and it shows just how utterly out of touch they are. Yeah, these are the people who dominate our public institutions. Yes, and you can see them there. You've got the head of the ICI, and there's junior royal members there. They're the ones with the red hair. There's the head of the CBI and the House of Lords in Black Lives Matter t-shirt, and you can see that they're all masked up just like the Conservative Party. Yes, that's the radical woke left for you. Bear that in mind, that image, with what therefore follows. So, moving on, yes, his article, we get to the new cultural zeitgeist that's sweeping across the West. Yes, remember the AfD won all of those votes, didn't they? Come back to them as well. In other words, is moving firmly against the woke left. Yes, it is. Me, I'm out of here. Yes, including its fanatical commitment to open borders, mass immigration, gender identity, anti-Western dogma, that's me to a T, and the use of censorship, speech codes and political correctness to shut down free speech and debate. Yes, you saw all of those people there, okay, with their face masks and their Black Lives Matter t-shirt and their red hair and being all woke progressive lefties, yes. Now, you're going to think to yourself, well, I wonder if he gets to name names in his article. Well, thankfully he does, so let's have a look at this. A couple of years ago, I published a book, underlined, a book, yeah, in which I argued that radical progressives in Britain, people like James O'Brien, Emily Mattis, Lewis Goodall, John Sopel, Gary Lineker, Carol Vorderman, Rory Stewart, Alice Cameron, and others like them are completely and utterly adrift from the people that surround them. Yes. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't put that image of the photograph that he's used with people like Rory Stewart. Right, okay. Let's think about radical woke leftists with their plans for open borders. Rory Stewart, who represents old One Nation Toryism, or James O'Brien, a man who, if we think of anyone who's left-wing in the last 20 years as a political leader, well, we do come with, oh yes, him, the bearded messiah that wasn't our glorious MP for Islington. Yes, Jeremy Corbyn. So let's think about him, shall we? James O'Brien very much vigorously didn't want Jeremy Corbyn because it was a very dangerous, well, radical woke progressive, wasn't he? Emily Mattis certainly can argue the same things there. Rory Stewart and Alistair Campbell. Nuff said, eh? But think about Gary Lineker, okay? Gary Lineker, yes, another one that is allegedly for open borders, is he? No, he just doesn't want immigrants to be treated like dirt. And, of course, you may notice, just also in the news today, that he's held up as the representative as everything that is awful about the awful lefties because he doesn't think there should be censorship. Oh, that thing again at the BBC. And really earnestly, as a very, very, very probably just a decent human being, thinks that we shouldn't be supplying arms to an oppressive regime like Israel that bombs people. It's not really an out there thing, is it? No, it doesn't match up. The radical wokeists that allegedly are in charge of everything are people like Alistair Campbell, who has a podcast, Rory Stewart, who has a podcast, Carol Vorderman, who was her off the telly, yeah, Gary Lineker, football commentator, yeah, James O'Brien, a one person out of, 11, 12 that run on LBC. Probably the most progressive, but he's not that progressive. I'm certainly not woke. I'm woke. I fully accept that, but I make these people look like they are what they are, which is simply the old-fashioned liberal centrists that they are. Alistair Campbell, okay? Warmonger, if you want to be brutal about it, Rory Stewart, friend of the royal family, yeah? All of these people are a different type of establishment. But we've now reached that point, thanks to people like Matt, thanks Matt, whereby these people are so out there that they have to then make up stories about them, whereby somehow, magically, Gary Lineker runs the BBC. He's a football commentator. The people that actually run the BBC and decide not to show, programmes about Gaza because they feature, people in Gaza, were appointed by Boris Johnson, amongst other people, from the last 14 years. Basically, the BBC board is made up by Tory appointees, a bit like, all of those people that Matt Goodwin works for, who are basically, one way or another, very much establishment Tory grandees, aren't they? Yes. So where exactly are all of these woke leftists that run everything? Because it's none of the people on Matt's list. What he's done is invented a group of people he doesn't like very much, simply because they hold liberal views, whereby they earnestly think that maybe human beings should be reasonable to each other, and created nasty bogeymen out of them. And there's quite a lot of that going on. I mean, we had, for example, a poor old, oh my God, victim of censorship once again. Dear God, how does the man deal with it? Leader of Reform, Nigel Farage, who was very, very, very angry about the fact that some demonstrators shouted to him. Yeah, angry woke leftists, Antifa as he called them. And inevitably, in his own particular style, is he dealing with that in a robust way around free speech? No, he's causing for Antifa to be banned, because of course that's what you can do. You can simply go to Antifa's HQ, probably just around the corner from Tufton Street, and arrest all the people there, can't you? Because they're all card-carrying members of Antifa, because that's the way the world works. That's the way the world works in Nigel's head, isn't it? Isn't it the way the world works? No, obviously not. It's just made up tosh, as it all is. And when we think of Matt Goodwin, isn't he great? Because he manages to say all of those things that everybody agrees with, and yet he seems to be incapable of reading a graph. And I will point you to, for example, the recent German election. So Matt said, look at the support for AfD among young men. Yeah. Give them a wave and a shout out, shall we? Liberals used to tell us populism would die out. Yes, okay then, I'm looking at that. That's the 25% blue line. But do you notice any other long lines there? Because Matt can't actually manage to look at a bar chart and see other things going on. Nope, I think that's it. There are just all of these young men who vote very far right, like they're all voting for reform, because that's definitely true, even though there are no figures to back it up. But Matt doesn't bother about that, and I can't see anything else happening in this graph whatsoever. I can't see any other trends amongst women voting for the far left, the actual rogue, positive, progressive left. What Matt is really interested in, of course, is having a complete and utter blanket ban, in essence, not quite a ban, but basically making any liberal voice seem like it's the most outrageous Marxist-Leninist plot that you can imagine. And I'm sorry, Matt, but James O'Brien and Alistair Campbell and Gary Lineker all sat in a room do not represent the British establishment. And if you think that, and you're trying to persuade other people of that, you are, number one, an idiot, and number two, very, very dangerous, because you have a nasty platform where you push this stuff. And it is nasty. There's no pluralism or debate here. It's simply, we can't have a world where various people are treated with dignity and respect. That's about as far as that one goes. Which is why I don't feel that I should treat Matt with dignity and respect, or indeed Nigel Farage, who magically wants to arrest well-organised anarchists. Yeah, one is reminded of the statement by William Whitelaw, I think it was. William Whitelaw was accused, I think, by Harold Wilson of going around and stirring up apathy. It's not the exact quote, but it's close enough to it. Farcical. Absolutely farcical. And these people are on our screens all of the time, and people will point to them saying, oh yes, well, I definitely agree with them. Well, you never get to hear anything different, do you? No. Still, I think I should be rounded up because of my support for, you know, open borders, which I don't have, or my radical agenda that I don't have as well, and how dangerous I am as a member of the establishment, yeah? Imagine a teacher, right, having access to the corridors of power like Catherine Bersinger. Yeah, can you think of any other teachers that have that kind of access to, you know, people in positions of power? No, me neither. Yeah, still, I guess she's a radical woke leftist as well. She probably doesn't agree that black kids should be segregated in schools. What's going on there, eh, Matt? Maybe you can tell us. Maybe you can point to the AFD and some of their policies and how they might work, and we just ignore all of the other numbers and facts and figures that go with it because they're, let's face it, just a little bit too problematic, aren't they? Yes.